What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. So having tight abs is probably high up on your list of priorities if you're here watching Watchboard Wednesday. But having tight abdominal muscles, that is an entirely different story. Matter of fact, that can create a lot of dysfunction in your other lifts and workouts. You see, the muscles in your core, particularly the internal and external obliques and your rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscle, that is actually causing a problem for a lot of your other lifts if they are allowed to become short and tight. And they become short and tight pretty easily because of two things. Number one, we hardly ever stretch our abs. I'm going to try to correct that for you here today by showing you 3 ways you can. And secondly, we sit a lot. Either we're driving in a car on our commute to work, or while we're at work, we're sitting, or even at night, we're sitting a lot. That allows these muscles to become a little bit tight. And we have to realize that when we look at these muscles, they're doing really the same thing. They all have attachments, origins or attachments in our rib cage and then down here in our pelvis. So they take those 2 points when they're allowed to get tight and they bring them closer together. So what happens when we bring your rib cage closer to your pelvis? You look like that. So a lot of postural issues can come out of that. Actually, we can lead to other things that we think might be problems that maybe aren't. So we see people and we say, oh, they got no lack of thoracic extension. They can't extend their thoracic spine. No, maybe they can't extend their thoracic spine because they can't extend their rib cage away from their pelvis because they have tight abs. So here's what we have to do to start addressing this. I take out a physioball like I'm showing you here, and I lay over the top of it. And a lot of you might, again, do this instinctively because you figure it feels good or it stretches you out a little bit. But the big thing that you have to make sure you're doing here is you're separating the rib cage from the pelvis. So I do that by getting into the position where I first lay over the back of the ball, I get that rib cage expanded, I get my arms up over my head, and then the key is dropping the hips, dropping the pelvis further away from the rib cage so we can get that maximum stretch on the rectus abdominis. And I can intensify that by just adding a nice deep breath in. I'm not sure if you can see it or not while I'm doing it, but a nice deep breath in to expand the rib cage even more, and again, increase that stretch being felt on the rectus. Now what I could do is, again, we got to deal with the internal and external obliques too, because those are big muscle groups that are impacting our posture in different ways. These are a little bit slanted compared to the up and down orientation of the rectus abdominis, but we can get at them too. And we could get at them by just turning ourselves over and getting on the side of the ball. Now we get on the side of the ball, the same thing happens here. Rib cage and pelvis, separate them. Drop them as far away from each other as you possibly can. Now when you're leaning up over the ball, if you twist a little bit and lean back, you can get the external obliques to be a little bit favorably stretched because you're taking them away, further away from the angle that they run into the, to the rib cage. You're pulling that rib cage further away from the pelvis where the external obliques attach, okay? And then the same thing can happen here when we go to the internal obliques. You just want to roll yourself down a little bit, still maintain that side bend, because the real attachment here is the iliac crest right on the side of our hips. Get that a little further away, and again, rotate downward and get away from the, in other words, elongate that internal oblique a little bit more. Now, you don't have to do this all that often, because I bet you're probably not really doing it at all even at the moment. Do a little bit more of it, and I promise you're going to see benefits as it overlaps into the rest of your training. I mentioned in the beginning some of the dysfunction that you could see in some of your lifts by allowing yourself to get tight abs. The squat is probably the best example of this. If you try to squat out of a posterior tilt, you're immediately putting your low back in jeopardy of injury because you're in a very compromised position. That's not a very stable position at all. You want an anterior tilt out of here so that as you lean forward, right, to create the right angle of the bar through the middle of your feet, you're going to need to have a low back that's slightly arched to support your spine and keep it in a strong position. You're only going to get that if you have an anterior tilt or the ability to anterior tilt and drop that pelvis down and away from your rib cage. That's something that we just covered is not that possible if you allow your abs to get that tight. So you want to make sure that you're not ignoring your abs when it comes to stretching, because stretching is important for all your muscles. Your abs are no less important, especially as we realize the implications it has for not doing them. I hope you found this as maybe an eye-opener, and you'll just start to do some of the quick stretches that I showed you. And if I know sometimes we get a little bit on that nerdy side here, the PT side, to explain these things, but I think from the feedback I get from you, These are the things that help you to understand why it is what you're doing. And I think if you understand what you're doing, you get much better results from doing them. And that's the whole basis of our ATHLEAN-X training programs, is to allow you guys to understand what it is you're doing so you get so much better results from them, from all of your workouts, from all of your training, from everything you do in and outside the gym. If you're looking for those training programs, guys, they're over at ATHLEAN-X.com. In the meantime, if you found this helpful, make sure you leave your comments and thumbs up below. Washboard Wednesdays, once a week, we deal with the core here, and I want to make sure I'm bringing the videos that you guys want to see. All right, I'll see you soon.